So in college there was a snobby guy named Joey who thought very highly of himself just because he had rich parents. He was the type of guy who broke up with a girl just because he found out she lived in a middle-class neighborhood and didn't wear the right name brands. In fact, he was so stuck up, he thought he could juggle 3 girls at the same time and not get caught. Well, he got caught. Lol. All 3 girls learned what he was doing and conspired to get him back. There was this big Halloween party at a sorority house and they had a stupid tradition called a cockwalk where lots of guys volunteered to get placed inside what were basically plexiglass cages. Plexiglass boxes just big enough for one person to stand in and get put on display for the party guests to look at and vote up or down. The winning guy with the most upvotes got a free phone. So one of the 3 girls, who Joey cheated on, convinced him he had a very good chance of winning the cockwalk, and she told him how popular he was with the ladies and how everyone was hoping he would compete so they could vote him up. Joey was so convinced he had a great shot at winning the cockwalk so he signed up. He even came dressed in a toga costume that he had spent like $1,000 on custom made for him. You should have seen him at the party with his nose in the air and thinking he was just the greatest thing ever. Well, what he didn't know is that the 3 girls he was juggling had somehow managed to get word out to almost everyone at the party about Joey and his snobby ways and his womanizing ways. So when it came time for the cockwalk, he was locked inside one of the plexiglass cases and all the female guests lined up to walk past and vote up or down. Imagine Joey's surprise when the first 3 girls in line were the 3 girls he was cheating on. Of course all 3 girls voted him down. Lol, that was probably humiliating enough, but then he had to stand there locked behind the glass and watch every girl at the party vote him down too. Girl after girl filed past him, including cheerleaders and sorority sisters, and all the girls liked to impress and they all cast their down votes. Many of them were making faces and gestures at him and laughing. Lol, Joey turned so bright red. He tried to get out of the box but the door, which was behind him, was locked, so he tried to bump his butt against the door over and over to jar it open, but from the front that only made it look like he was humping up against the glass or something. He was making himself look even more foolish and everyone was totally enjoying his comeuppance all the more. He was left in the glass case as the winner was announced, which obviously was not him since he didn't get a single upvote, and when he finally was let out everyone was cheering and clapping while he walked out. Believe it or not, he actually dropped out of college a few days later. Do you think it was because he didn't want to show his face around there anymore? Hey guys, let me know in the comments what you're thinking about this story. I was 7.5. My mom and her second husband moved in with me. My brother and sister in with her sister who had 3 kids of her own, 2 girls and a boy. My mom was very pregnant with my little sister as well. Now across the street lived this other family, mom, dad, and 2 kids, a little girl my age and a little boy maybe a year older. Every one of us kids loved the little boy. He was always sharing his toys and offering to help the younger kids tie their shoes, etc. His sister though was a brat, hitting other kids, calling them cruel names. Really, now that I think about it, I'm a bully. This was around when Cabbage Patch dolls were at their height of popularity and every girl and a lot of boys wanted one. Well, we couldn't afford them, so our grandmother made us all homemade dolls as close looking to Cabbage Patch dolls as she could. The dolls turned up missing, all 6 of them. Then we noticed other toys were missing. Our parents lectured us about being careless, so we get invited to play with the kids across the street. And the little girl makes the mistake of letting me see her room, bragging about all her toys if I remember right. I picked one of the dolls up and realized it was my doll. I asked her and she says her dad got it for her. I was seething. I waited until she was engaged in some play with my cousins. I took all the toys out of her toy box and carried them across the street. My siblings helped me while the cousins kept her busy, so we dump all the toys in a pile on our living room floor and soon her mother comes screaming. We robbed her precious daughter and she wants the cops called. My mom and aunt are yelling. My stepdad is taking off his belt, and I calmly turn my doll upside down and lift its skirt. Now it's important here I tell you my mom was a bit OCD when it came to our stuff. Everything had our name either sewn on or written on in permanent marker. The little girl insists her dad gave her the doll. Her mother backs her up, so I pick up the other dolls and show them the names. They are insisting it's just coincidence, and that's when her dad walks in. He listens to his wife complain about us being thieves, then asks me to show him the doll. I have said nothing this entire time. He looks at the name on the doll and turns to his daughter. You're grounded, a month for stealing and a month for lying. I still remember her mouth dropping open and her mother sputtering that we were the thieves. I also remember him looking at his wife dead in the eye and saying her name. I never bought a doll for her like this one. Also, I doubt I could find a Cabbage Patch doll with my name, which is unusual where I live, on it if I tried. This guy was livid. He yells for them to go home and then asks us kids if we have room for all those toys. Now I am pretty sure now looking back he knew only 1/10 of the toys were actually ours and that technically we had stolen her toys. Of course, we found room. We did, however, let her brother go through them. And when the kids who lived a few doors down found out via her brother about our toys found in her toy box, they asked to look through. Hey guys, if you're enjoying the video, don't forget to drop a like. This happened about 15 years ago when the internet and e-com were still young. I had this supervisor who was a real douchebag. Once he asked me to help him out at the last minute and take a particularly shitty shift, and I did because I was a team player. The anticipated business level did not materialize, so I left at my scheduled time. To be clear, I did not leave early and abandon my colleagues. I left at the end of the shift. I did not stay late. Couple of days later, douchebag schedules a meeting with me, and when I arrive I see the two owners are there as well. DB starts calling me out, accusing me of abandoning my colleagues and falsifying the timesheet. I ask him if he is on crack. He keeps berating me and questioning my commitment and loyalty. The two owners sit in stunned silence, but don't defend me. I was employee number 2. He was number 35 or something like that, so eventually I said I had enough, and got up and went home. He sent me an email later that day saying I was suspended for 3 days, so don't come into the office tomorrow. I ignored that too. The next morning when I got in, he was surprised to see me and told me to go home. I basically told him to go fuck himself. I no longer recognized him as my supervisor. My pay never got docked either. Office tensions were high after that, but I just went about my business like he wasn't there. He continued to be a douchebag, but I just bided my time. I am very patient. About a year later, I noticed his T4 envelope on his desk. No one was around, so I palmed it, and that gave me his home address and social insurance number. Also learned that I made about triple his salary, which made me feel good. His house was only a short side trip for me on my way home, so I would leave early, go to his house and intercept his mail. I would take it home, steam it open, scan it and seal it back up. Next day I would swing by and put it back in his mailbox. It took about 3 months, but I eventually got 2 credit card statements, and I was able to determine he got his CC statements around the 10th of the month. Got his utility bills too, and a letter from social services notifying him he was going to get his wages garnished for non-payment of child support. Once a douchebag, always a douchebag. I had been putting together a list of URLs for the most vile and disgusting porno websites, hawking magazine subscriptions featuring topics such as bestiality, golden showers, and scat, among many others. Readers, I am not judging. I spent a Saturday night mid-month with a bottle of rum subscribing him to every magazine, both print and online, that I could find. In those days there was very little credit card security. If you had the full card number and billing postal code, you were in. There were no CVV or PIN numbers. I knew he wouldn't see his statements for over 3 weeks. The following Monday I canceled his utilities, telling them I was going abroad for an extended period and wanted to suspend the services. I made it a point to be exceptionally rude to the utility companies so the account would be flagged. Hopefully as douchebag. Also got his vehicle registration reminder and vehicle insurance renewal, both of which I did not return. To DB's credit, he never said a word, that I heard, in the office, about the shit going down in his personal life, but I knew he was suffering, and that was good enough for me. About 6 months later, on a whim, one night after a few cocktails, I tried signing him up for more stuff and was surprised to find both his credit cards still worked. He hadn't closed the cards. I signed him up for a bunch more magazines but made the mailing address at the office. Signed him up for a number of online porn sites and used his work email. That got people's attention, and not long after DB was no more. Hey guys, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed, don't forget to like and subscribe.